but I know you're a veteran, military guy, own property, family man, husband, father. So go ahead and just introduce yourself, let everybody kind of know who you are, and then we'll kick this thing off.
Yeah, so my name's Stephen. I'm 43 years old, or 40, 42. I have to think about that sometimes.
Yeah, it loses
Starts
all the
running
time.
together.
Yeah.
But 42 years old, married to my wife Dana. We've been married to I think about 3 years now. We've got a 11-year-old stepdaughter. I've got a fixing to be a 2-year-old son, a wildcat running around.
Yes, he is. Tate is a handful, man.
I was born and raised in Mississippi, so I grew up there my whole life.
Oh, wow.
Till I was 18, went in service, but went to church there my whole life, Siloam Baptist Church, little country church out in the middle of nowhere. That was where I, kind of grew up there in church. My dad went every Sunday, every Wednesday, had me there with him, And I got saved when I was 13, Vacation Bible School. I remember the guy's name, Andy Bowles. I think he still preaches.
Wow.
But yeah, he's a preacher now. But super good guy, and I just, you have that feeling, you feel compelled, and he just, got saved there at the Vacation Bible School, and then lived there. Got jobs when I was starting 15. I started working, going to school.
Oh, wow.
Getting out at 1 o'clock, had a job, and then in 2001 I graduated in May, and then went in. I had signed up under the delayed entry program in March to go in the Air Force, but I was scheduled out to September, so graduated in May, and in September I joined the Air Force. Yeah, took off. And I probably left the state of Mississippi maybe 3 times my whole childhood. I mean, my family, I mean, they're great. They're old school, just down home people, but they have no care about seeing and doing things, So
Right.
we just didn't go on family vacations. Like, we didn't know about that kind of stuff, But my best friend, we're still best friends to this day, Daniel from Mississippi there, and his dad took us to Panama City, and then took us to I think Gulf Shores, maybe the coast. But
There you go. Yeah.
so I had left home, but then 18 I rolled out to San Antonio, did that, and then I served 21 years in the service, and I had traveled all over the world during that time. I had, I think, 8 deployments. Can't count how many TDYs and
Right.
training and whatnot. And then I did 2 short tours in Korea. I was stationed in Delaware, was my first base. So then I went to Korea, had a choice where to go. I picked Arkansas, came here. Then I went back to Korea.
Jeez.
And I had orders to where was I? South Carolina over there. So that's where I was going to do my last 3 years, which was going to change the direction of my life, right?
Yeah.
So I was looking at homes out there and stuff, and just trying to decide to go back. Well, I got promoted in Korea, and then they called me and said, "Hey, you're not going out there anymore. You can either go to Minot, South Dakota, New Mexico, or back to Little Rock." I'm like, "Back to Little Rock." So I came back here. Met my wife in 2019. We hit it off. Ended up getting married. Of course, kids settling down, stuff like that. But yeah. I think, where was I going with that? So 14, I started my own business there, and
Really?
like an online business. So I've been doing that since 2014. Kind of scratching my own itch deal. I kind of came up on something, and I just kind of went with it and built off that. And then around the 2018 time frame, it was kind of like I was feeling the old timers always told me, when you know it's time to get out, you'll know. And I knew. Like, I started feeling like I need to go. I was building my business. It was making some momentum, and I was like, I wanted to focus over here, but the Air Force load's steadily getting more demanding as you go up in rank, and it was just getting more stressful. And when you're in your late 30s and up in rank, most people are broken. I mean, they're broken down, and I always, I was in pretty good shape, so I always got tapped for deployments. Everyone there was, "Hey, Blair's got it, Blair's got it," so. That got old, so I punched out in 2022. So I feel like I'm pretty new.
Yeah.
done. I'm retired. Yes, I get a check, but I'm not retired like playing golf every day.
Yeah, right.
You know, I feel like I'm busier than I was when I was in service.
Yeah.
But so yeah, met my wife there, and then she was with me for a few years towards the end, and then punched out, and I got into some real estate. You know, like you're saying there, just kind of stumbled up on that,
Yep.
and then I've been doing that the last few years, growing my business, and then we had Tate come along. You know, so I'm learning how to be a dad, man, and
Yep.
but that's pretty much me.
Yeah. Let's go back to your childhood real quick in Mississippi. I know we've talked in the past about you coming from like a hard working home. How was that like with your dad and your mom? How did you instill that hard working values in you at such a young age?
Man, I think just watching them, like I never remember any like teachable moments, like where my dad or my mom set me down, like this is how you do this, or this is how you. It was I don't ever remember that. It's just like
Right.
they modeled it, and I somehow picked up on it. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw my dad. He just worked. Like they both worked. You know, they never really had jobs that made that much money, but they worked. You know. I mean, we definitely grew up humble. I mean, we didn't really. We didn't have everything we wanted, but we had everything we needed, type deal, you know. And my dad made sure of that. My mom did too, but they always worked. And I stayed with my grandparents most of the time, but they just that, the work ethic, man. My dad, he taught me that. He taught me what it's like to help people and the feeling you just get from that, you know.
Absolutely.
My dad, man, he can fix anything. Like it doesn't matter what it is. If he's
Yeah.
never seen it, he'll be, yeah, I'll work on that for you. You know, he'll fix it. So
That's cool.
you know, I got to feel at an early age what it was like to be a part of going and helping somebody, you know, and just I felt that in my heart, and I was thanking for that, you know, and just attention to detail that he taught me there, you know. Just I remember as a young kid, I would take my bicycle, you know, mountain bikes. They have the big sprocket in the back.
Yep.
The thing's probably got 50 ball bearings in it. I would take that apart and put it in my hand and put each one of them back in there with a toothpick at a young age. So I was always in my dad's toolbox. I always liked to work with his tools, but he had his wrenches laying in there a certain way, and I mean facing a certain direction. And if I put that wrench in there facing, just turn it one way, Stephen Blair, the next day I would hear about it.
Yep.
He's like, look here, he'd show me. I mean, and he was teaching me like I didn't realize what he was teaching me, but attention to detail in anything you do is huge to me.
Yeah.
And he taught me that at a young age. I mean, one of those wrenches.
Yeah.
You know, and that paid forward, I mean, to this day.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in, I got boys too, and how you do the small things is how you do everything.
Exactly.
And I try to instill that in them, not by just telling them, but showing them that the little stuff that you do, it matters. It may not, the wrenches may not seem like a big deal.
Right.
But to you, it's something that stands out, and now you realize how big of an impact that had on you later on.
Absolutely.
You mentioned staying with your grandparents a lot. What was that like?
And my grandparents were great. They were my grandpa was a retired. He was in the Navy. He was on the I can't think of the name of the ship, but I just done a lot of research. I was trying to get a hold of somebody that was on there with him. Didn't have any luck with that, but he was a Navyman. He drove a truck for a living, retired from that. My grandma was kind of a stay-at-home mom most of her life, you know, but they were just good old school down-home folks, you know, and as a kid, man, they gave me a lot of freedom, you know. I would go off and on my bicycle with a hatchet in my hand, riding down the street, or I'd go off in the woods, and I mean, me and my friends would trauma through the creeks and never even thought about snakes or nothing like that. You know, we're just out there being kids, and you know, they let me do that, you know, and of course I had to go back and check in and stuff, but I think just having that freedom is important, you know, for kids, and I'm going through that struggle right now with giving a kid freedom, but I think that's good. It was good for me.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be good for my kids, but you know, just the old ways of doing things mostly. I mean, I watched my grandpa, just the relationship he had with his neighbors, and I just pay attention to those kind of things, you know. And he always had a garden out there, and he would do it the most. I mean, he would till it up, but he would never buy these pre-made plants. He always used seeds.
Wow.
You know, it was like he'd go out there and he had this old metal stick. I still have it, and he would jab a hole in the ground. He would drop a seed, jab a hole, drop a seed. he would cut all his poles out of the woods, stick them up, and it was just
pretty cool.
As a kid to be able to see that, you know, and just see from a seed. I have him cut these poles, you know. Now in 3 months we're eating all this stuff we just planted from a seed.
That's awesome.
You know, so he taught me just, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It seems I grew up in the North, and I come from a more of a broken home. I didn't have kind of that type of stability. But the more people that I talk to that do have that relationship, especially with the grandparents too, it seems like in the South that's bigger than what it is in the North.
Yeah.
Up north, city folk, we just kind of grow up, go away, and do our own thing. But in the South, it's not like that.
No.
Do you think that has big ramifications on young men growing up, you know, having that type of home environment that they grow up in?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it has a big impact on you. I mean, depending on how you grow up, you know. I mean, I know a lot of people grow up in broken homes and stuff like that, and it has to affect them. I mean, I can't speak on it because I feel like I was pretty blessed, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm still really close to my dad, my mom, my brother. I got a 34-year-old younger brother, and we talk all the time, and I go down there all the time as much as I can. And my grandma's still living. She's 90, the one that I was telling you about there. My grandpa passed, unfortunately, but my grandma, she's 93.
Wow.
She's still living, the one that kind of raised me up, you know.
Yeah.
Because like I said, my mom and dad were working all the time, so I stayed with them all summer. And then after school, they would pick me up, and I'd go over there and hang out with them until mom and them got off work, you know. So I think it had a big impact on me. My brother was the same way, you know.
Yeah.
And I think keeping close with your family when you get an adult, I mean, is a huge thing. Because I mean,
yeah, absolutely. It's not like your family stops being your family just because you're 18 and out of the house.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are families that live that way.
Yeah.
You know, I was just talking to Demetrius, the guy I was talking to. He's a pastor. And he was saying, you know, he hears people say all the time, oh, well, they're 18, 19. They make their own decisions. They're out on their own. They're grown now. No, they're not.
Oh, man.
No, they're not.
We're always learning. We can always. I love talking. I used to love just talking to my grandpa. I love talking to old people in general. They have so much knowledge, you know. And even now, man, my dad, I mean, he's got stage 4 cancer, but I could call him today and be like, hey, I need to build an extra room on my house. He's like, all right, cool. I'll be up there next week. That's what he would say.
Yeah.
And he would come up there and help me. You know, when I bought my house, in 2019, it was my first house. I always rented in the Air Force, never owned a home. 2019, I stumbled up on this home, and we may get to that story, but stumbled up on it, and it was kind of what I wanted, but not, you know, it wasn't set up for a family.
Right.
You know, which I didn't know I'd have a family at that time. I was just a single man, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But my dad came up, my mom, we built rooms we added a bathroom, we had a laundry room. We did all that stuff ourselves, you know. And my dad,
incredible.
I mean, he did all the electrical work in there. You know, that's his thing. He likes doing electrical work. So,
man, that's not a skill set that I have. So I always think it's cool. Like, you're always fixing stuff and working on stuff, and to me, I would never be able to do that. I just don't have that skill set.
You could, man, if you wanted to. You know?
I think that's probably a thing too, right? Is if you put your mind to it and actually wanted to do it. And I tell my kids that too now. Like I told Robert, you know, 14, 15.
Yeah. I'm
gonna hook you up with a plumber or electrician. You're gonna learn. You don't have to go in that career field.
Something, man.
But you're gonna learn it, you know? Because that's valuable. Like there's stuff that goes on at the house, and I have to call somebody, and I hate it.
Yeah, and they don't the money it costs anymore, and they don't do it right most of the time, you know.
Nope.
So I mean, being able to know how to do that stuff, I mean, it's enabled me to be able to. I mean, it sounds crazy, but just knowing how to do that kind of stuff has enabled me to do much bigger things in my life.
Absolutely.
You know, whether it be financially or whatever, you know.
Right.
Because if I had to pay somebody every time my sink clogged up, or every time I needed my oil changed, or something tore up on the lawnmower, you know, that would be where all my money was going.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people look at it like that anymore.
Right.
It's just part of what they pay for.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think the generation of people doing it themselves,
right.
There was a huge gap to where we stopped doing it. I think it's probably swinging back that direction a little more now.
Yeah, yeah.
But there was a big time where I'm like, I'll just pay somebody to do it.
Right.
Like it's just, But now, like you said, nobody's even doing it right anymore.
Not doing it right, man.
So people at this point are like, I'm just going to do this myself.
Yeah.
Because I know it'll be done the right way.
Yeah, we didn't have money we didn't have that option, when I was growing up. I mean, we wasn't dirt floor poor. I mean, we had AC and stuff, but if the lawnmower broke or, the truck, like I remember when my dad was teaching me to drive a 5-speed, when I was 15 or 14, and I burnt the clutch up because where we lived in kind of like a bowl in the town, and no matter where you wanted to go, unless you were trying to just stay there around your house, if you were going to visit your friends, you had to get up out of that bowl. And there was a stop sign on the edge of it.
Oh, of course there was.
So,
of course there was.
It's a whole lot of revving up the clutch and riding. So I burnt the clutch up pretty quick. And my dad was like, he didn't get mad. He's like, all right, you're going to change it out.
There you go.
So, I mean, but, we didn't have that option. So I watched my dad figure things out at a young age, how to work on things. And it never even crossed our mind to call anybody like I. So I'm still like that. Like the first thing that comes to my mind is not who do I call, but how can I figure it out,
pull up a little how-to YouTube video
anything,
or whatever.
Man, or just get in there and tear into it,
Yeah. We'll figure it out at some point. Yeah, that's
the
good.
worst
That's
that
it. Yeah, what's the worst thing? It's already broke.
It's broke. I'll call somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you remember like anything that led you, like what made you join the Air Force right out of high school? What was that like?
Man, I was in a small town there, and there wasn't, unless you wanted to go offshore, work in the oil rigs 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, there wasn't much better to do. And actually, I always thought I wanted to go work on like vehicles or like I was going to go to that. I think it's in Nashville Auto Diesel College or something like that. I was going to try to go to that, and I had a scholarship because of my SAT or ACT, one of them. I scored real high, I guess, but they gave me like a scholarship at some community college, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I met my high school girlfriend, and her dad.
They ruined everything.
Man, they ruined it. Talk about it. But yeah, her dad had retired out of the Air Force. He was security forces. And, they were way better off than I was used to growing up, and they just had. They were doing good. He was retired. He worked at a job he loved, but he was still getting his pension. He talked to me a lot about it. He kind of talked me into it, and I got to looking into it, and I was like, man, they have some. I was thinking you just fly planes. I mean, I was.
Yeah, that's what the Air Force is.
Yeah, I was like, I can't fly planes. Yeah. But I had no idea that you could go and do construction. You can do plumbing. You can do electrical. I mean, I was a structures guy, so I was like a jack of all trades: carpenter, welder, sheet metal.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know where I was going with that, but what was the question that you asked me?
I was just talking about joining the military. What made you do that?
Yeah. So that's where I was going. Yeah. So the girl I was dating, like her dad talked me into it. So there wasn't nothing better to do. I signed up, delayed entry program.
That's right.
And came in, man, and she's no longer with me. We ended up getting married and got divorced 3 years thereafter. So after a tour in Korea.
Yeah. The military is volatile in relationships like that, number one. And then it's always like I kind of have a similar story the way I joined the military is because I graduated high school, and the day after I graduated high school, my family picked up and moved.
Really?
Like we moved out of state. We went from Ohio to Gulf Shores, Alabama. The day after I graduated. Yeah. So it was, I was gone. And I had a pretty serious girlfriend at the time, and she had moved to Tennessee. So I was like, I'm graduated high school. I'm big and bad, can do everything myself. So I was like, I'm moving to Tennessee. So I moved to Tennessee, and I'm staying with a friend of her family's, and he's an Army recruiter.
Oh.
And the rest is history.
Okay.
So I ended up joining the Army. Yeah, because we were at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. That's where we were. And, that's a big Army. Big Army base there.
Yeah, where he left his Army.
Yeah. So similar kind of girlfriend, friend of the family, talked me into it, and obviously we didn't last very long after that. Right. As most relationships like that do, but it all happens for a reason.
Yeah, it was a stepping stone, man. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I look back, I will never complain about my military career. I mean, it made me into the person I am now. I learned valuable traits when I was there, and Yeah.
I mean, I got orders to Delaware. I literally had to look where that was. I didn't even, I never even heard of that. I was like, is that out west? I thought it was out there by Washington somewhere.
Yeah.
But it was the wrong Washington. It was a D.C. up there.
Oh, man.
But, man, it was, talk about a culture shock.
I bet.
Coming out of Mississippi, never even flown on an airplane. I went to basic training on an airplane for the first time. And going up there, or actually drove up there. I followed a good buddy of mine up there. We followed each other and drove. And I drove from Mississippi to Delaware, an old Ford Ranger, everything I owned in the bed of it. And it was a shock, man.
Oh, I bet.
Like, my accent did not fare well up there.
Yeah, what's so funny is you talk about that, and I remember meeting guys in the military, like all of us at basic, and you would hear people like you with your southern drawl, and you'd be like, I couldn't even understand what these guys were saying half the time, because I went to Germany.
Okay.
So Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri was my basic, and then my orders were in Germany. And that was like 18-year-old kid.
Oh, man.
Never been out of the,
Yeah.
Not a bad first place to be, though. I mean,
Right.
it was gorgeous.
Ramstein?
Yeah, Stuttgart.
Stuttgart, okay. Yeah.
So it was definitely.
Man.
So when you decided to retire, had a really long career. Kudos to you for that. I did 5 years active duty and I was done.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it anymore. But was there like a defining moment? I know we talked a little bit. You start just getting older, and then you're getting pegged for everything, and you're like, I'm done. Was that just the reason why you retired, or was there like a defining moment where you're like, I cannot do this anymore?
Well, I mean, I think it kind of just built up. I started getting the feeling around 2018 when I was in Korea. I had a real stressful boss over there which ended up working out. I mean, he was real by the book, to the T, kind of attention to detail guy, and I mean, but he was over the top, and he was kind of stressful to work for. I was building my business. It was growing. I read some books over there that changed my life, like some 40-hour work week from Tim Ferriss. I don't know if you ever heard of him. But that book changed my life as far as my business goes.
Right.
And I thought, man, there's so many good ideas in there, that I could put to use, and I did that year. So my business was snowballing, and I was just like, man, I didn't have time to focus on it. And then I came back here, which I was glad of, and then I lost my train of thought. What was we talking about again?
Retiring. Defining moment, yeah.
Yeah, retiring. So COVID. Oh yeah, I had one final deployment. Like literally, I was almost a year out from leaving. They hit me one last time. It's like, man.
That was not too long ago, right?
Yeah, not too long ago.
I remember that.
I was with Dana during the time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I went to PSAB over there in Saudi, and it was pretty rough base over there, and we had some terrible leadership.
Yeah.
And terrible. It was the worst deployment I've ever had. And just the guy one of the guys I was working with literally had a heart attack from the stress. He almost died over there. We had to medevac him out of there. When he left, they put me in his position. And, man, I was under the gun over there, and it was a stressful environment, like bear base type deal.
Yeah.
And COVID kicked off, and then they got stupid with those masks and everything, man.
Oh, man.
It just ate my soul that I had to and they're on me about the shot and everything like that. I never got it, I fought it, and I won. But man, just
there's a lot of people that tried to fight it and lost.
Yeah, lost.
Yeah.
Luckily I was at that point where I could punch. So I actually hit the retirement button over there. You can do it a year out.
Yep.
So I did it over there. I was like, man, I thought about it, and I was like, I've got to get out.
Yeah.
Because it was literally burning my soul, how stupid we were getting doing that COVID business. And so I think once I got back from that, it was probably almost 21. And then I had the Skill Bridge program, which you can get out 6 months early.
Yep.
Which I did that. Went and worked with my dad at the end of that, which
that's
was a
beautiful.
blessing. Yeah,
absolutely.
His boss signed off on everything, and it was all legit. And I went back and worked with him, and man, it was a good. I mean, it turned out to be a good end of a career. I'm not regretful about it at all.
No, absolutely.
But that was kind of the moment. It built up to that, and I knew I was ready to go. And I had a plan. I had been saving since I was an A1C. I'd been living off A1C pay
Your entire career.
Since I was an A1C, and I made it to senior. So every
Good for
check
you.
I got, I put it invested. I read books and trying to. So it wasn't just like I was sitting around one day and thought, oh, I'm going to get out without a plan. Like
Yeah.
nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Not like me, who just left without a
I
dollar
don't know,
to your
man.
name. You know,
Hey, I don't judge, whatever. But I mean, I'm a little bit over the hill. I mean, over the top sometimes with my planning. But nobody has any idea how much I plan to do what I'm doing now.
That's right.
People just think, oh, you got lucky. No.
No.
I planned for years.
Yeah.
I mean, just years. And
we'll talk about that
I was
too.
ready.
I remember. Was there ever a moment in time? Because I know. So I met Karen 3 months before I got out, and I was at a point where we were about to deploy again. I just got back from Afghanistan, and then we came down on orders, and stop loss was not a thing anymore. So the unit I was in, I was at Fort Polk, Louisiana. We were about to go to Afghanistan again. Same fob I just left. And since stop loss was gone, I had an option. They were like, you can either just hit your ETS date in 6 months, or you can sign up for the deployment, do the deployment, and then when you come back, you can get out. Well, I just so happened to meet Karen right at the time where it was like time for me to like sign the paperwork. And I had told him I was going to go.
Right.
Then I met Karen, and I was like, if I keep doing this, like, I'm never going to have a family.
Right.
It's going to be volatile like this,
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm done. I'm going to get out. And 90 days after we met, she packed up her whole life and moved with me. And
Really?
we've been together ever since.
Man, that's awesome.
That's awesome. I got a good. I will net. My wife
awesome,
is the
man.
best. She has just supported every ounce of every endeavor I've always done, and just been right there with me the whole way.
As your first wife.
Yep.
Dude, that's a huge blessing, man.
Tell me about it.
Dude. I mean, I wasn't so lucky in that aspect.
Yeah.
Getting it right the first time.
Yeah, but I'm sure it shaped a lot of your outlook. I'm sure now in your marriage and the way that you approach stuff.
Absolutely, man. Like I was telling you, man, my past is ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the only one in generations of the Blairs and my family to ever get divorced. And it was extremely frowned upon, and it wasn't an easy decision for me, to do that. But it's like the Bible says, I mean, she was not I think she was saved and all that, but she wanted to leave. I couldn't stop her. Like she
was
made
out.
her decision when I was overseas for a year.
Yeah.
So take that for what it's worth. But
Right.
when we came back, she filed the divorce, not me. And I was just like, okay, I'll sign. And then I got to Arkansas and then started a new life basically. The month I got here.
Yeah.
And then, man, I got married again.
Yeah.
So Dana is my third wife. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I went for a good long stretch, 2005, to saying I'm never getting married again, and people started to believe me. And then about 12 years went by, and I married another girl. It's from Pennsylvania. We stayed married 3 years or 2 years, and same thing, man. She made some decisions when I was overseas that I found out about, and I couldn't abide by,
Yeah, absolutely.
So this time I packed her bags and put them by the door type deal. So
yeah,
it wasn't an easy decision, but it's part of me. I'm not proud to say it,
Right.
And
yeah, but I think we all have things that we're not proud of.
Yeah.
But to be able to stand and be like, hey, listen, I made a mistake. I've moved on, and here I am.
Yeah.
And you and Dana, I mean, you guys are amazing together.
Oh man.
I get to see, and I see the way. I don't know you guys deeply, but I see the way that you two interact with each other, and I see like the way that you talk about her.
Yeah.
Like I know, like that's. So how is that? Because she had a daughter already when you guys got married, right?
Yeah, she had a Harper already. I think she was 7 or 8 when we got married. So that's a whole nother conversation we can get into. But Dana, man, she's great. I mean, we met on the internet. I mean, which is another weird thing,
Well, not in today's age, it's not though.
My buddy, I was deployed, and I've never been about just out chasing girls. I mean, I was always about self-improvement, getting myself right, because I knew one day that God was going to send me a woman.
That's right.
So I was all about taking care of my stuff, making sure I was fit physically, financially, mentally, all that stuff. And I knew when one come along, I want to be ready, right? Have my stuff together.
That's it.
So I was an asset and not a liability to
That's
a
a
woman.
great way to look at that.
So,
wow.
But Dana, my buddy, when I was deployed, he's like, man, I was on these dating apps. I think what was that, Tinder?
Mm-hmm.
Man, what a joke.
Yeah, tell me about
And
it.
he's like, you need to get on Bumble. He's like, I was like, Bumble. He's like, yeah, Bumble. The girl has to message you first. It's like, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So you get on Bumble and you swipe. All the dude does is swipe right, and then the girl can say yes or no. It's in their hands. I just swiped right, and I'm out here mowing the grass.
Yeah, that's easy for you.
Dana saw me evidently, and she messaged me on there. And after about actually, I think I was getting ready to delete it, and so was she. Like we were done with it because I was getting a bunch of crazies on there. Well, she messaged me, and for about 3 days, and finally I'm like, hey, do you want to get my number? Can I get your number? I'm fixing to delete this. Like if you want to call me, that's fine. If not, then I mean, adios. I'm getting off here.
Yeah.
And she gave me her number, and we ended up meeting over at Chili's, and had
that's where a relationship.
I think that's what got her.
Yeah, you took her to one of the finest establishments in the United States.
Yeah, she said I stared her down the whole time, like she thought I was a creep. Because I believe in eye contact when you're talking to somebody.
Exactly.
So I guess I was staring into her soul.
Dude, people are uncomfortable with that nowadays.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, but she told her friends, like, I don't know, he just stared at me the whole time.
That's hilarious.
Then, like 2 weeks after that, we had kept in touch, and then I was going out to the lake with one of my buddies. I just picked up a boat when I was deployed. I had my brother drive down and get it for me, and I asked her, I said, hey, you want to go to the lake with me? And she ended up going with me. So it was after that I guess we kind of started dating, and it was about 4 months there. Maybe a little bit. Well, I don't know if it was that long before I met Harper. I can't remember, but she just didn't bring her out, instantly. I mean, she didn't know me.
Yeah, she was guarding her
family daughter, right?
Yeah, so, absolutely. Especially if you're staring her down at Chili's.
Exactly, right. So, but yeah, we hit it off, and then Harper, she's a good kid.
Yeah.
But it's a challenge, man, raising a step kid, because she's not my blood, so she doesn't really think like me. I can't expect her to.
Right.
I mean, I know I'm kind of hard to deal with, and she'll probably tell you that, but I know what's right, and I want things done right, and I want respect.
Absolutely.
But she was which is always a work in progress.
Of course. Yeah, kids, especially at that age. How old is Harper?
She's 11 now.
Yeah, see, so Robert just turned 11 also, and even with him being my blood, he's still he just butts heads, and I think it's one of those things that kids are just they're dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just gonna do kid things.
Yeah.
But that's got to be tough. Like you said, being a stepdad and coming in at that crucial age, 7, 8, 9, and now she's 11 and getting a little older, right?
You think about sending your boy off to another household for a couple of weeks, then they're not raising him wrong, but they're not raising him like you would.
Yes.
But maybe they're doing what they think's right, and that's okay. But it's a conflict, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, her dad, he's a great guy. He's never wronged me anyway.
Yep.
But we're not from the same place. We come up with different backgrounds. I'm gonna have different views than him, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've never sat and talked to him, but I'm old school in my way of thinking. I like to hear yes, ma'am, no, ma'am from kids, and respect your parents and elders. Just the basic stuff,
Yeah.
And so that was a struggle, and we still work on that kind of stuff, But I think the older she gets, she knows that she's not used to my approach with it,
right?
But she's learning that I'm for her better good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm everything's done with a good heart.
Yeah, you're in her corner.
Yeah, I'm in her corner. I mean, I'll take a bullet for you, kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm not going to hear you say no to your mom. Or what to your mom? Like, I would be picking my teeth up off the ground if I said what to my dad. Like he would have whooped me down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that word "what" I just don't like it. You know?
The one that we have going on right now is That one.
Oh, the
The
breath.
breathing. Oh
Man.
my gosh.
That just makes me crawl, man.
Yeah, it burns my britches. It gets me, and I can take it in stride. Like it gets
Yeah.
under my skin, but when they, like you said, when they do it to their mom,
Right.
I've had the talk with my son. You know, one time him and his mom were getting into it, and I pulled him to the side and I told him, I said, "That is not your mother. That is my wife. What do you think I would do to some random dude on the street if he talked to your mom like that?" I said, "I would put a hole in his chest. Don't ever talk to my woman like that ever again."
Okay.
And he was like,
It's a different way to look at it.
Yeah, but I needed him to understand.
Right.
Before she's your mom, she's my wife.
Exactly.
You cannot talk to women like that.
No.
Period. They're softer. They're gentler. They're the weaker species. You cannot do that.
Right.
He still does it anyway. But,
we literally just had this conversation the other night. Like I've been telling Harper for so many years now. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, sir. You know, if you can't say that, think up something else. Just don't say no.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, don't say what. Say I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Can you say that again? Don't say what. You know, but I told her, I was like, hey, your mom literally just drove you to a dance competition in a tornado. Pretty much. You know, and she does so much for you. I mean, don't you want to respect her in that way? That word, it shows respect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so show your mom some respect.
Absolutely.
I mean, she definitely earned it.
That's
All
right.
the stuff that we do for these kids is crazy.
Yes, it really is.
And the least they can do, in my opinion, is say, yes, sir, no, ma'am.
Like you said, it's a verbal sign of respect.
Right.
No matter what your face says, no matter what anything he says.
Exactly.
Even my son, when he's mad at me, and I can tell, when I tell him something that he shouldn't be doing, I'll get a little bit of a, yes, sir.
Right.
And then I'll handle that.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, good.
Take
okay.
that.
Yep, I'll take it. Go on about your business.
You don't want to do it, but you still acknowledge, yes, sir.
Yep, absolutely. As long as you end it with some type of, because we all step out of line.
Right.
And, you know, God corrects me all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so, but it is tough. You know, my mom remarried a couple times, so I had multiple stepdads throughout my childhood. And at least for Harper's side, I can understand having someone new coming in.
Yeah.
And it's not the way that things have always been.
Right.
So
yeah, we've moved houses. I mean, I literally pulled you from your place you were born and raised, and then we now moved you out in the country. Now you're living in a metal building.
Yeah.
You know, out here, and I mean, I know it's hard on her. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I know
Yeah, absolutely.
It's got to be.
But I think once the stability kicks in, and this is my worldly opinion, I thank the Lord that, like you said, that me and my wife have just worked out that way. She'll look back on this and realize.
Yeah.
I think it's just a tough age for kids.
It is, man.
Especially 11, 12, going through all those.
There's so many, changes, not only with, like right now our dad just moved back, so that's a whole nother thing.
See?
Because he's been gone for 3 years now. He's back. So we're just started the shift literally this week to where he gets her, he picks her up and gets her and does the whole shuffle, and where so he wasn't getting to do that, right? Because he's not in this state.
Yeah.
So that's another change. So now she's getting those two households more often. You know what I mean? So it's even more, and I'm
That's
sure
tough
there's
on
more
everybody,
challenge
I'm
coming.
sure.
Yeah, it's tough on everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's just we do it, we make it happen.
That's right.
And they work good together, Dane and him. So there's no conflict.
Well, that's
there.
a blessing.
That's a blessing. Man,
yeah,
because that's not.
Because there's some of those relationships that are just volatile.
Absolutely.
That just
like fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
I know all about that. So let's just talk about your discipline, because I think that's one of the things. Even just talking for the few minutes that we've been talking and knowing you a little bit, is you're so disciplined. What role do you think that discipline plays in a man's life?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, don't get it wrong. I mean, I'm not. I do hit the snooze button sometimes.
Absolutely.
My goal is to get up at 5 every morning.
Right.
But I'm not perfect in that. I mean, I do hit the snooze button. I have, and I'm tempted to. But, I get up and do it every day. But I think having that discipline it's the key to everything. I mean, having discipline in anything you do, right?
Right.
I mean, a relationship, if you don't have the discipline to be faithful, it's not going to work. In your job, if you don't have the discipline to get out of bed, show up on time, you're not going to be hired very long. I mean, with everything, the friendships, I mean, I think it just plays such a deep role in your life, just having the discipline to do what you put your mind to do.
That's right.
A lot of people, I mean, we all get excited when we hear a speech or whatever. We're like, oh man, yeah, I need to quit drinking Dr. Peppers or whatever. But then 2 days goes by and the feeling kind of goes away. But if you have the discipline to not do it, and then in my mind, one thing builds on another. So it's,
absolutely.
It's kind of like life's accumulative. So it's not one big thing that you do.
No, you're stacking little wins.
Yeah, you're stacking the little wins. You don't just go to the gym and then you're all of a sudden you're a disciplined person. No, that's just part of the puzzle. You just stack the wins, and you have good days, you have good mornings, and then you have good weeks, and which turn into years, and which is your life. I mean,
absolutely. That's good. And you got to see it modeled at a young age, I think, which is super valuable. And then I try to show my kids too is, we've talked about it multiple times on here, but the thing that always comes up is, discipline and motivation are two separate things.
Two separate things.
And it's not the same thing.
No.
I can be unmotivated and still be disciplined.
Right.
Facts.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wake up at 4 o'clock every morning so I can make sure that I get a workout in.
Yeah.
Because I know when I get off work, it's dad time, husband time,
right.
teaching, whatever I'm doing. Do you think I want to wake up?
You don't want to wake up.
No. I tell my kids that all the time. Oh, Dad, well, you like going to the gym. Okay. Yes, you're right. But you think I want to go at 4 a.m. when I don't get to the house till 9 o'clock at night? No.
Yeah.
But there's value in that skill.
Yeah.
No.
A lot of value. And then if you don't do it, after you've done it so long, it just becomes ingrained. And if you don't get up and go to the gym, your day's messed up.
It's ruined.
Like, it's ruined. You might as well just stay in bed.
Yeah. Isn't it weird how that happens like that?
I mean, you get so ingrained in
routine,
and the discipline. And for me, it's a constant tweak. I'm constantly tweaking, what I'm doing. I mean, I literally just, this is bad to say, but last year I literally read my Bible for the first time cover to cover. I've been in the Bible and I've read scripture and passages, but I've never read the whole Bible. And a big part of that was Dana kind of, and we can talk about that, but I'd never done that. So that starting last year, that was part of my routine. I get up at 5. My phone doesn't go in the room with me at night. I don't want to hear that ding, and I don't want to wake up and see it. I got rid of that, which I used to. So I used to wake up to my phone alarm. Mm-hmm. Now I got an old school alarm clock with a big old button on the top if I need to hit the snooze or whatever. But it's sitting over there. There's no screen. It's not showing me the weather or whatever. But so that was something I recently just started doing, and I put it further away. So if I do have to hit the snooze button, I have to get up out of bed. You know what I mean? It's not just like one of those things where you roll over.
Nope.
So that's helped me.
That helps.
Get up.
Because you have to make a conscious decision to get back into the bed. And
absolutely.
And that doesn't seem like a big deal. But it is a big deal.
It's a big deal, man. And even when it's one thing when you have a job and you have to be there at 8. If you're not there at 8, you have consequences, right? You might get paperwork. I don't know how you guys do it, but when you work completely for yourself, it's even more of a challenge because I could sleep till 1 o'clock. I'm not going to sleep all day. I could just sit in the bed and eat donuts all day. But, I can't do that.
Right.
I have my reasons, but I have to get up early even though I don't have to. Right? I mean, so it's tough, especially when you have to do it on your own. Because nobody's telling me. Dana's not telling me to get up.
No.
Like, she gets up about 6 or 6:30 and reads her Bible, which she's starting to get up earlier, but nobody's telling me to get up. Nobody's like, hey, you got to get up at 5. Nobody. I mean, I can sleep till 8.
Yeah.
But it's just, I'm a morning person. I love getting up. I read the Bible. Finished my Bible last year, and now I'm doing a New Testament Bible study that she got me, going through reading that. and I read a chapter in John. I'm in John right now, so I'm going through a New
I'm
Testament.
reading John in the mornings too right now.
Are you?
Yes,
okay.
I am.
Yeah, I read John 5 this
I
morning.
read John 14 this morning.
Okay,
That's
not
cool.
far behind you.
Yeah, not far behind.
But then I go to Proverbs. There's 30 chapters in Proverbs.
That's right.
One for every day. So I read that, and then I pray, and then I kind of sit there and think for a minute, kind of meditate, if you will.
That's right.
And this is all before I even touch the phone. I didn't even look at the phone.
Praise God. That's awesome.
And then if I need to do something, I think about it. Usually I plan my day the night before.
Yeah.
Before I go to bed, before I even walk in the house, I plan my day out.
Right.
So, but if there's something comes to my mind, I write it on paper.
Yeah.
And then let the day begin after that. I mean, I check emails, if anything for my business or whatever.
Right.
For about 30 minutes, and then I hit the gym. I built me a little home gym there.
That's
I hit
cool.
the gym for 45 minutes or so, and then, I start my day.
That's it.
So it's a constant tweak for me. It definitely hadn't been perfected. Still not.
No, absolutely not.
There's days I don't get up till 5:30. And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm like, if I just had that extra 30
At 30
minutes.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know what I mean?
Do you think there's something to be said now that you've kind of made God the priority in the mornings and done your scripture and that? Has that changed your life at all?
Man, absolutely. I mean, I feel so much better, and I feel so much more confident in where I am with God.
Yeah.
I mean, I got saved at an early age, and I grew up in church my whole life, but when I came in service, man, I couldn't find a church that, definitely in Delaware, that felt like home. So I went to church for a few times, and it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Never went. There was a good, man, this is bad to say, but
Say it.
I hadn't been to church consistently until I met Dana.
Wow.
So God was always with me, but I was definitely not always with him, type deal.
Yeah.
He was always with me. I mean, man, I could tell so many stories on just the way he's worked in my life, but yeah, I mean, I think that's huge, man. It's made a big difference in me. I mean, I feel more confident knowing, that my salvation is there, and if
Absolutely.
I died, I'm going to heaven, and
know that more, not because you read your Bible every day,
yeah,
but because you've trusted Christ, that he came here, died for
Right.
you. You've accepted that, and you've confessed that. That's really good.
Absolutely.
So what was because my story is similar with Karen and I can tell you a little bit about that, but how did Dana play such an instrumental role in getting you kind of whipped back into shape?
Man, she's just a good, tender-hearted woman, man. She comes from a Christian background. Her mom and dad are very Christian, God-following folks, and they're great people. But she came from a background like that, and she's just, I think the way she found this church is Harper kept driving by, because they lived over here, or Harper didn't drive by, but she rode by with them.
Yeah.
And that's scary to think about.
Yeah.
But she rode by and she kept saying, that's my church. So Dana just started coming here. But so when we got together and got serious, of course, it comes up pretty quick, right? 'Cause you want to see, hey, where are you on this? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we had the conversation. I was like, yeah, I'm saved. I honestly just hadn't found a church, and I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing. I'm drinking too much.
Right.
Not doing things like that, and cursing and doing stuff like that, man. And I mean, it's constant trying to work on it, but yeah, I mean, she came in there. I saw that she was going to church all the time, and she never pressured me. I never felt pressure. I mean, I felt pressure from God, not from her.
Absolutely.
She just lit the fire. He was blowing on the flames.
That's a great way to
mean?
put it.
Yeah, I mean, she just kind of said, "Hey, won't you come to church with me?" Kind of, and of course, then you get to thinking about it, and then God just starts
Beating on you a little bit.
I was like, man, I just don't know anybody. You know how it is going to a new church.
Absolutely.
And walk in here, but the church has been great, man.
Yeah. This place is this is a hidden gem.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that this place doesn't have the walls falling down with people here.
I know.
It's
a great church, man. I felt right at home, and but she's been. I mean, she got me in church Sunday. She took the baby steps. I was coming Sunday, and then she went every Wednesday. She always tried to get me to go Wednesday while I was still in the military. I was doing a business. I was building my house. I mean, I was doing a lot of stuff.
right.
I didn't have time to come Wednesday in my mind,
Of course.
But eventually I started coming Wednesday, and that's been a blessing, She got me. She never pressured me. It's like, hey, we're going to church. Are you going to church? No, but I'd always feel bad about not going,
Yeah.
But now we go Wednesday, and she's just, she's got me into the Bible studies. Like she bought me like a men's Bible study for the
That's really
New
cool.
Testament. She's just been there to kind of get me back on track.
She's your supporter.
She's
got
my supporter,
your back.
man. Yeah, in that aspect for sure.
Yeah.
My parents, man, they've always. I'm the one that wondered. Like my dad, since I was a kid, I remember seeing him kneel by the bed praying, and he to this day he gets up, reads his Bible every morning, prays. I mean, he's a deacon in the church where he's at now, and he's never got sideways. I've never seen my dad drink a beer, smoke a cigarette. I've heard him say a few choice words, but I've never seen him do anything like that. He's just been a good guy, and that's something that I want to, pass on to my kid.
Absolutely.
My brother's not my brother, but my cousin. He's a pastor. My cousin
Wow.
Bill, back home, and I was talking to him the last time I was home. We had lunch together, and he told me something that his dad told him, and I got to thinking about it a lot, and it's like, man, my dad never said that to me formally, but he modeled it, and what it was he said that his dad told him when he was young. He said, if you see me drink it, you can drink it. If you hear me say it, you can say it. If you see me do it, you can do it. And that's what he lived by,
Wow.
So he never drank in front of him. He didn't drink, period, but he never cursed in front of him. I mean, sure it happened, but it wasn't a norm, right?
Right.
And so I got to thinking about that. I was like, man, I mean, I want to be able to do that for Tate, and I want to be able to do that for Harper as well.
Absolutely.
So I changed some things. Still in the process of changing some things, just so I can say that.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been good for me, man. Getting back in church.
Of course.
I mean, man, it's just a blessing to come and hear the word, and then Sunday school. That was another thing,
Yeah.
We never went to Sunday school, and then
And now I see you guys here.
Yeah, compelled, man. I mean, we both were. So last year, we were on a camping trip, and we talked. We're like, we need to get Sunday school, so we came to. I mean, we already knew Travis and Courtney. He's a Sunday school teacher. I mean,
yeah,
let's just go. So
let's just go. Yeah.
Once you get in the door, that's the worst.
That's
part.
the worst part. Yeah.
Oh, these people are coming. They'll be gone next Sunday. But no, we've stuck it out.
Stuck it out.
It's been a blessing.
That's good. That's kind of how my wife, same, Karen's been saved since she was a kid. She grew up in church. I never even went to church as a kid.
Yeah.
Knew nothing of God, and I knew nothing of anything. And then when I met her, that was something that's a little different too, is we never even discussed. Like, I knew she went to church.
Right.
But I had literally no background to go off of. Like, it wasn't a thing that registered with me.
Right.
I kind of always believed that God existed, but I was kind of in the camp of, well, I'm a relatively good person, so
must be going to heaven.
I must be going to heaven,
yeah.
Right? I haven't done anything crazy.
Right.
And that's kind of, I think,
I hadn't killed anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people sit in that ballpark.
Right. I think so.
That generalization. Well, God's so loving that I'm a good person. He couldn't send me to hell.
Yeah, why would he do that?
Yeah, absolutely. But she would go to church on Sundays. And then when we started having kids, she would take the kids.
Yeah.
And it was just, I was a cop, so I was always working weekends anyway. So it was never like a thing that we ever discussed.
Right.
She never pressured me to go. Nothing.
That's awesome.
But, come to find out later on, now I knew that she was just constantly praying for me.
Yeah.
And when we moved here, I met Grant. And he was my mentor at work.
Okay.
And since my wife had just been so, I don't want to say obedient, because that's like a dirty word now in society. Right. But my wife was so obedient. Like when I took this job, it's Little Rock, Arkansas, dog.
Right.
My wife's from Louisiana. Louisiana girls don't leave Louisiana.
Yeah.
So when I told her I was coming here, she's like, let's go. So the first thing on my mind when I moved here is like, I have to find her a church.
Right.
I know it's important to her. I don't really care, but I got to find her one.
Got to find her one, yeah.
Met Grant. Grant's like, dude, come to my church.
Man, just rolled right into
it. So I come to church, and I don't even know what I'm looking for. But I go first by myself to check it out for my woman. I have no idea what I'm looking for.
Scoping it out, huh?
Yeah,
Make sure there's no bad guys in
there.
there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I remember sitting in that's exactly what it was. I'm sitting back in a Wednesday night service, and Pastor John's preaching on salvation, and he's giving the gospel. And I'm sitting back there, and I'm like, man, what is going on? Like, I start feeling like heavy.
Right.
Heavy.
Oh, man.
And I get up, and service is over, and I get up to go walk out, and I felt like I weighed 1,000 pounds. And then I had just this fire in my chest. And I was talking to Grant on the way out. He's like, do not leave this building. He said, go back and go talk to Pastor right now. And I went back, and that night, I accepted Christ, was saved right there on the spot.
Man, that's awesome, man.
Yep. And so
that gives me chills.
It was
just thinking about it.
Looking back on it now, knowing like what the statistics are for people being saved when they're 30.
I heard that. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, it's insane. But I think it caught my wife off guard because I called her, and we had never even really talked about what salvation was or any of that stuff. So when I call her and say, hey, I got saved, she was in shock. She had no idea. It was like trauma just hit her body. Like, she had no idea.
That's awesome.
And it's just been a whirlwind for us. So I can relate to you saying that you've had a woman, like, obviously I know God wanted me more than my wife did.
Right.
But my wife did exactly what the Bible commands a woman to do.
Right.
Even though I wasn't saved, she stood
by you.
Stood by me, and she submitted unto me, and she did every biblical role that God commands her to do.
Yeah.
And I'm super thankful for my wife for that.
That's awesome, man.
So it's a crazy story, but very similar to
very similar
to that. So that's
I've
incredible.
Been through some bad ones. I mean, my other wives, we didn't go to church or nothing like that, so it was it was a struggle. I knew I always needed to get in church, but I guess I was waiting for that right.
Yeah.
And I just I don't want to go by myself, and it was a struggle, man.
It's tough.
God sent me Dana. I'm better than I ever was.
That's
put it that
fact.
way. I've come a long way, man.
Yeah, me too.
I've had an ugly past, and divorces and whatnot like that. Nothing I'm proud of, but
right.
I'm better than I ever was.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm coming to church,
reading
the Bible, and doing those things.
And I think that that's what a lot of people don't understand, and hopefully maybe somebody who's listening or ever watches this, you don't need to come clean and get ready before you come to a church and get yourself right. You and God will work on that together.
We're all messed up. Everybody's messed up in here. Some just hide it better than others.
That's right.
I believe that, and that's something I struggle with, because I'm like, man, you look at some people, and I'm like, I always wonder, how do they sin? Like, what do they do? Like, I know how I sin, and I'm always working on it. We all sin, but
of course we do.
At some people, and it's like, man, I am a heathen compared to this guy or gal,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know if you ever think that, but I feel that way sometimes, and but anyway.
Yeah, I think it's fleshly, and I think it's the devil's attack to make you go down that road of like, obviously we don't deserve what Christ did for us at all.
Yeah.
But I think it's a way to get in our heads and make us doubt things.
Yeah.
Because if you look back, let's just look back at Genesis, right?
Yeah.
When the serpent's talking to man, it's not saying, he never once says, no, God never said that.
Right.
He says, hath God said? He makes them question what God said. He never comes out and blatantly says, no, he did not say that.
Right.
He makes them
question.
doubt.
Yep.
And I think that is where problems start.
Yeah, and the flesh is weak.
Flesh is weak.
Flesh is weak, man.
Yeah.
Especially in today's world. It's just, everybody's going this way, and then as a Christian, you're trying to go this way, and it's a struggle.
Yeah, especially in today's society. I mean, Christians, you're persecuted. I mean, you're looked down upon.
Yeah, you look down upon.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a Bible thumper, or oh, you're whatever, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I know, I'm just a guy following the Lord, you know?
That's it.
I mean, I'm an amateur on the Bible, you know.
Me too.
I'm right now at this moment, I'm trying to lead my best friend to the good Lord. And I think he's decided to walk down the aisle. He hadn't done it yet, but it's crazy how his story's working out. But we've been friends since 5th grade.
Yeah.
And we got to talking about it, and I mean, I knew right in Romans where to go, because Brother John has been. I mean, he quotes that. I can't quote it.
But he goes down Romans road all the
about
time.
The verse about being saved.
Yep.
I can't. You know what I mean? But
Yep.
believeth on the name of the Lord, call out, be
Yep.
saved. That verse right there.
Mm-hmm.
But I literally had that highlighted in my Bible, and I sent him a picture of it, and I said, man, you know, if you believe in God, this is what you need to do. And you know, we talked about it for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and so I've been praying for that. But
That's good.
just being able to do things like that, even being an amateur on the Bible, I'm no expert on it. You know, I read it, but I mean, I hear like Brother Grant's knowledge of the Bible, man. He can get up and preach like he's been a preacher for 50 years.
I know.
You know, I'm just like, man, I couldn't get up here and preach for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
On the Bible.
Yeah.
And I can tell you about a lot of other things.
Yeah. I can sit here and talk to you for an hour, but
yeah, I can talk to you about, I mean, all kinds of stuff. But it's just like the stuff I got saved a long time ago, but I'm at heart, I mean, I'm a young Christian. I mean, kind of like you, man.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I haven't been saved that long, but
I haven't.
you know, you're already ahead of me. I mean, you're
Whoa.
over here deacon. I mean, I can't be a deacon because of my past, and I understand that and accept it. But you're making leaps and bounds, man. And it's been an honor just to see you. You know, just God's just working on you, man.
Yeah, I'm very thankful for that, because I'm not like I'm so undeserving of these things, and He has put me on such a fast track to where I can lead my family.
Yeah.
You know, and teach my wife and teach my kids. My wife, there's no worldly answer to how on earth my wife would come to me with a question in the Bible. My wife has been in her Bible since she was 10 years old.
Right.
I've been in it for 6 years.
And she's asking you questions.
And she's asking me questions. But that's God's design. Yep. That's God's structure. That's the biblical roles. And He has just opened doors and done things for me. Yeah, more than awesome, I can ever. Nothing we could ever do to
nothing we can do, man.
Nope. And I think that's the beauty of it. And I think when people understand that, that there is, because we live in a world now where, hey man, you got to work hard, and working hard and earning your stuff is great.
Yeah.
But people take that worldly concept and they try to apply it spiritually.
Right, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that well. If I can get myself to heaven because I do all these good things, that's a lie.
Yeah. Or
pride steps in. Well, that guy's only been saved for 5 years. I've been saved for 25 years.
Right.
I'm better than him.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No.
We're all the same, friend.
We're all the same, man.
You know, and when you really understand that and you're able to let that pride and that ego go, I think it changes you big time.
Absolutely. It's
big time.
It's refreshing to be able to do that. I mean, but yeah, man, I'm so glad to. I mean, I remember the church was struggling for a youth director for so long, and I'm like, man, there's, you know, it just worked out perfect, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys look up to you. I feel like it's just good.
Yeah, I mean, it was there was like two or three
Yeah,
kids
man,
when we first
it's
started,
grown.
and we got 16 or 17
That's
now.
awesome,
I mean, and I know some youth groups. You know, I talked to some people; they have like 50 and 60.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a
But to go from 2 to 17, that's a pretty
when
good
you
percentage.
when you look at the percentages,
A little bit
that's
more than
pretty
10%.
good. That's a little more than 10%. And what I love is my wife and I love those kids.
Yeah.
You know, and just being able to, I learn with them.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell them that.
Right.
You know, and we're in this together, and you know, we read God's word. It's a huge blessing. It really has been. And I think there was a moment in time because I teach for a living,
Right.
and God has given me that gift of being able to teach.
Right.
And I remember talking to my wife, and I said, "When am I going to start using God's gifts that He's given me for spiritual things?"
Okay.
And she was like,
Yeah.
"Go tell Pastor we'll take the youth then." I mean, it was like that.
Yeah.
It was just like, she's like, "How do I argue with that?"
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have the gift. I mean,
she said,
I
"Go
mean,
do it."
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, and it's been pretty good.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So you had a mentor that told you a long while back, right? That selling and buying. What did he tell you? Selling and buying will make you more money than working?
yeah, that's what
Or
he
something
always
like
said.
that?
There's more money in buying and selling there is working. That's what he'd say.
So how have you taken that quote or from that mentor, and how have you impacted that into your life?
Man, this old guy. When I first got here to Little Rock, I rented one of his apartments over there, and he's still over there, and I'm still good friends with him. He's 74 now.
Oh wow!
And I go over there all the time and shoot the bull with him. You know, shop. We sit out there by the fire and just tell stories, and but he's just an old rough country guy, you know. But he'll tell you exactly like it is, and he's seen probably within the first year of me living there that I had a little fire under me that I wanted to do more, and you know, and I seen that he's always pulling in and out vehicles and horses and chickens. I mean, he deals with all kind of stuff. He sells chickens. I mean, he'll go buy chickens and resell them. Buy a chicken for $1, sell it for $3. You know, stuff like that. Anything, a tractor. And he told me, he would always tell me that. I never really understood what he meant. And I thought, okay, whatever, man. I'll just keep doing my job in the Air Force. Mm-hmm. And one day I bought this boat from a guy on base. I was a E5 at the time. He was like my boss. He was a senior master sergeant, and he cut me a deal on this fishing boat. I was trying to get out and do some fishing. He sold it to me for $1,000, and I went out to the bank, got $1,000 out, paid him, and I brought it back over there to where I was living. And the old man came out there, and he's like, "Man, that's a nice boat." He's like, "What'd you have to give for that?" And I told him. He said, "Man, you got a deal on that." He said, "What you ought to do," he said, "instead of fishing, is take that boat and resell it for probably $2,000 or more." I thought, nobody's going to pay $2,000 for something I just gave $1,000 for. And that's really all he said to me. He turned around and walked off. And I worked on that boat, and I got it fixed and made it real nice, you know, tweaked on it for a minute, fished out of it, and then I said, well, maybe he's on to something. So I parked it up on base on the lemon lot, put $2,800 on it for sale sign. 2 days later, some guy came and offered me $2,500 cash, and I had maybe $1,400 in this boat after I did everything.
Right.
So I was hooked since then, and I've been doing that ever since.
Really?
With boats, tractors, trailers,
golf carts,
lawnmowers, mini golf carts.
I remember in passing hearing you talk about the golf carts, and that's kind of how I knew that you were into that type of deal.
Yeah, we bought a golf. Some guy in Missouri bought a golf course dealer or golf course out, like their old carts when they replaced them, and then he was selling them. And then we went up there and made a bulk deal with him. Me and a buddy of mine went up there and bought some of them, as many as our trailers would hold.
Yeah.
And brought them back and resold them. But man, I love that. That's my
flipping.
That's my thing. I do that. I mean, I love it. I enjoy it. Like, as far as a pastime, I love the thrill of just finding deals, and the thrill of just working and fixing them, taking something that I pulled out of the woods that looked like somebody would throw in the trash, and I take my two hands and my tools that I've acquired over 25 years and my brain, and I put it together, and when it gets done in my shop, it looks like something that came off the showroom floor 9 times out of 10. So I mean, you take something, the person I got it from's happy, you know, I gave them what they wanted, then I get satisfaction from fixing it up, and then I pass it on to somebody at a higher price, of course, you know.
Of course.
Not a rip-off, but
no, you got your time is worth
you value
stuff.
it, you know. I don't try to make a killing. I try to get rid of things quick.
Yeah.
You know, I put a decent price on it, but then they get a super nice machine.
Yeah.
You know,
cool.
and they're happy. So everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about doing that.
That's really neat.
But,
I know we're kind of jumping back and forth, but we kind of hit a lot of stuff as we were talking. I want to go back, and you talk about marrying Dana and having Harper, and then Tate comes along. How did that whole situation happen?
oh man. Well, it wasn't supposed to happen to start. So I don't know if you know, but I had a vasectomy. You know, me and Dana talked, and I was 40, she was 39, and I mean that's geriatric for a woman, which I'd never heard of that word, but it sounded like something bad, so I got to reading on it, you know, and I was like, what does that mean, man? You're not like a grandma.
Yeah.
But so she was high risk, and man, I was always worried about that stuff my whole life, you know, and I just never had kids and never was with the right woman that God wanted me to be with, you know.
Yeah.
So we talked about it, and I said, you know, I'm just going to be a stepdad, and I'm going to go up here and get a vasectomy, you know. So I did. I went up on base and got fixed and everything, and I don't remember how long it was after that, but less than a year probably, and Dana sitting on the couch, weird. You know, you can tell your wife's acting weird. I'm like, why are you even sitting in that position? Like, you just look awkward, you know. And she's like, I got to tell you something. And all the stuff, you know, running through my mind.
Of course.
What happened?
Yeah.
Did you hit somebody today in your car? Or did somebody, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, you may want to sit down. And then I'm like, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, she said she was pregnant, and man, I think she thought I would be mad, but this feeling just came over me, like I just felt, I was like, wow, no, that's what that's like, you know, because I'd never had that feeling other than some scares. I mean,
of course,
you know, before that didn't want to happen type deal.
Absolutely.
You know, which is a totally different
feeling.
You know? But I mean, I felt good, and I think it kind of shocked her how I took it. You know, but I was happy about it, man. You know, and it's just, it just shows you, man. God was up there laughing.
Yep.
He's like, you go ahead and go through that pain.
Yeah, go ahead.
And you do that, and I had complications with that whole deal, man.
Oh yeah.
They said sit on the couch after that and don't do anything for 3 days. That's impossible for me.
Yeah.
I was in a boat in the pond the next day. I fell out of it and pulled myself down there. I was in bad shape.
Man.
So I went through all that, and God was still laughing.
Yep.
And Tate came out, man, and it's been the biggest blessing of my life, other than meeting my wife. You know.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that my grandma, she always says, God handed you that kid like he did. You know.
Yeah.
Like I did everything medically possible and everything to keep from having a kid.
You did every worldly thing.
Every
that you
worldly
could.
thing. I didn't want it. I mean, I didn't, you know, I did all the medical stuff I could do. Didn't matter. Like he came anyway, and he came out healthy, man. Looks like me, acts like me.
Yes, he does.
He's out stomping in the mud and water every chance he get, and man, it's been a blessing being able to just see him raise up and being where I am, to be able to be home more, and you know, to see the moments and to see what he's doing.
Beautiful.
And you know, Dana being there with him and doing that stuff every day, and it's been a huge blessing, man. And you know, not only that, but just to see like I didn't know what my parents had to deal with. Type deal, you know.
Yep.
Until I'm having to deal with it.
Yeah.
So it makes you have more respect, or at least me, for my parents. I'm like,
absolutely.
I'm like, y'all had to do all this for me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and I'm sure I was just as wild as he is. He's full of energy, man.
They're ready to go.
He's ready to go. When that door opens, he's an outside kid.
Yep.
When that shop door opens, he went out it so fast today that he hit the door seal on it. He's got a little balance bike with wheels about that big on it. He came out so fast. He was so excited to get outside. He hit the door seal and flipped over the handlebars. It didn't even bother him. He just got right back up
and just went about his business.
Went about his business. But just learning and man, just seeing the steps of a kid, like it's just a miracle to me.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky where I am in life that I can really just take it in.
Yeah.
And notice it. You know, it's like just telling him things we don't even tell him. Like, how did you pick that up? Like,
right.
How do you know where your hair is?
Yeah.
When we have never told you where your hair is.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's been amazing, man. And I'm so looking forward to raising, and he's been a big motivator for me, and the discipline, and I mean things like that. You know, I mean.
Yeah. I'm sure you look at things different now of like how you're gonna approach certain things, and because they're always watching.
Absolutely.
If there's one thing that I've noticed with my kids is they hear what I say, but they do what I do.
Right.
And they pick up on your habits.
Yep.
You know, so that's big.
Yeah. Yeah, they're always watching.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's just been a blessing, man.
Yeah.
Having him. I'm so glad that happened. I would have never known that feeling my entire life.
Yeah.
Had it not, you know. I can't believe I tried to
stop it, you know.
Yeah. It's dumb.
I think when people say, like, you know, before you have kids, when they're like, oh, man, you know, you'll never love something like you love your kid, and you're just like, I have a dog, man. Come on.
Yeah, right.
You know, and there's people that are like
exactly.
that. And then you have a kid, and you're like, oh,
man, yeah.
This is what you're talking about.
This is it, man. When you open that door, and he's getting up from a nap, and he's looking at you, and you walk in the door, and he sees, oh, it's my dad. And that smile comes, man, there's no feeling like that I've ever had in my life.
Nope.
You know.
Yeah, I tell you, I take parenting very, very serious.
Yeah.
And you know, I got Rebecca's almost about the same age as Tate.
Yeah.
You know, we have an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and then we have a 2-year-old little Rebecca.
Right.
You know, and we have one of those digital locks on the door. So when I'm coming home you know, from work, I'll start punching the code in, and I can hear her inside. Dad, Dad, Dad. And I open the door, and here awesome. She goes, just run. And man, there's just...
You're the hero, man.
Yeah, there's just no better feeling than that.
Yeah, I mean, we're their hero. I mean, we're what they know and what they're gonna do. And I mean, I'm trying to really take it all in while they're in the house, because I know it goes by so fast. Yeah. Man. You look up and they'll be driving before you know it.
Yep.
I mean, even
somebody said days are long, but the years are short.
Exactly, man.
You know, and it goes by.
Yeah.
Like that.
And the older you get, I mean, my biggest surprise of life so far is the brevity of time, and just how fast, you know, when you're in high or school, it seems like 12 years takes a lifetime to go by.
Oh, facts.
But man, when you get, like, now that I'm past 40, I look up and I'm like, man, where did that year go? I'm
it's
like,
tough.
It's 2025. Like, what did I do this past year?
Yes.
What have I done the last two? Where did the years go? So I mean, I'm really trying to take it in.
Yeah. So having Tate now and having Harper, how important do you think it is for men to take a spiritual leadership role in their home?
Man, I think it's vital in today's world. It's one of those things. You have your musts that you must do. I think. I mean, for me personally, it's one of my musts. You know, I mean, in today's world, man, the kids we have to give them all we can give them while they're home.
Yeah.
While they're in our little nest, right?
Yep.
Because when they get out in the world's going to whoop them down.
Yes, it is.
And we're not going to be there, you know, more than, I mean, you know, like we are now.
Yeah.
Like now we can shield them from everything.
That's right. And that's what you should do.
Yeah. So we're there, but I think when you raise them up on, you know, when you raise them up in church and when you raise them up around other Christian kids, they, you know, especially when they're homeschooled, they see, like Harper comes to church, she sees like your kids and Grant's kids and Brother Travis's kids, and they're all good kids, and that's what I want her to be around, and Tate, not heathens out in school that some dude's running around thinking he's a girl.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that.
Nope.
Even I want them to shield them from that for as long as possible.
Absolutely.
So I mean, raising them up in the Bible and that kind of stuff, I think is a must-have.
So how do you approach that in your home? Because I think you have probably a very unique perspective that I think probably a lot of the world is probably in the same situation. I think with such high divorce rates now, there's probably multiple men or tons of men that have stepdaughters or stepsons in the home. How do you take control of your home in that aspect?
And I think a man's role in the home, I mean, spiritually, I look at it a little different. I always say a man's role, at least for me, this is for me, is to lead, conquer, provide, protect, and build. That's my kind of core values, if you will. And lead, you can throw the leading spiritually. Like, I'll be honest with you, Dana, that's been easy in my home because she is, she's good with that kind of stuff. She got the Bible studies. Like I said, she got me to go into church. So, we work together as
That's
a
where
team.
she supports you.
Yeah,
in
she
that.
supports me there in that. She's got the Bible studies. She kind of, of course I had talked about it. My brother or my cousin's a pastor. He told me, he's like, man, you need to be praying over these kids every night. And he told me something I wish I'd have done is done Bible study with my kids. And just a super good guy, man. And I got to talking to Dana about that. I was like, we need to be doing a Bible study. We need to be praying together. And are we perfect at it? No, we may miss a night.
Of course.
But the goal is to do it.
That's right.
And we've worked together on that good, and I feel like we're at a good place. The young one doesn't get to be part of it. He's in the bed after. We can't do anything with him running around, but after he goes to bed, we do it, and then we usually take turns praying.
That's beautiful.
At the end of the night, and then we kind of set up for a minute, and then I'm in bed, man.
I'm in bed by 9 o'clock.
Yeah, 9 o'clock. I would like to be in bed.
Yeah, that's me too.
But but yeah, that's kind of what I live by, man. Leading your family in general, just being, there's going to be some decisions that I don't want my wife to have to make,
Yeah. Well, that's it. And I think the Bible's clear on that too, that's your responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think that should give some, I know it gives my wife rest, knowing that when there's big decisions to be made, she understands that she doesn't have to answer to God for that. I do when it affects the entire family.
Yeah.
And so when I make it, like when we homeschooled the kids, I gave her the choice at first, and it broke her. It broke her.
Yeah, that's just too much to bear.
It was too much for her to bear, man. And it was a moment in time where I realized like God was talking directly to me.
Yeah.
And don't you dare put that on your wife. That's your responsibility.
Yeah.
And my wife, I said, okay, tomorrow I'm taking them out, and then she just fell in line. Like, okay, whatever you say, let's do it.
Yeah. That's the dream, man. For me, that was I always wanted a wife that stayed at home, took care of the home,
That's
the nurturer.
The homemaker.
The homemaker, the nurturer, I'm the provider, the protector. I'll provide, I'll put meat on the table. If there's somebody coming in my yard, I've got it. Like, I don't expect my wife to come outside. Like, you get in the closet, I'm going to deal with this.
Facts.
If there's a snake out there, I'll chop him up with a hoe. Just
whatever you need.
Whatever I need to do. There's no limits to what will be done, if it needs to be done in that aspect. But as far as leading the family, but I look at those 5 things, and there's a lot under each one, but that's kind of the way I look at a man in general in the home,
Why do you think society has turned women being homemakers into such a dirty thing? Like, because if you look now, that's what it is. Well, why is that?
I don't know, man. That's a good question. I always revert back to the old ways. What was our grandparents doing? My grandma wasn't working. Your grandma probably didn't work. Dual income. I think it's just people are.
I think it's a planned attack by the devil just to pull and break the rolls of the home up.
I read somewhere the other day. Don't quote me on it, but it said something like one of the biggest scams ever was going to waking up early, going to a job that you hate, and leaving your kids with strangers for 9 hours of the day so you can get home and spend an hour with them just to wake up again and go, something like that.
Yeah.
And you get to thinking about, that's what you're taking your kids to a place. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody's in the position that they can do that. I'm not downing
that. I say the same thing. That's right.
I've been truly blessed, and I've planned years for this. It just didn't happen. But, to be able to, I didn't want to do that, and that was in my plans the whole time. I wanted to be able to have my wife there, and to be able to have them raise the kids like we want them raised, and not like what a babysitter would.
Yeah, or society would tell you
exactly
it is the right thing,
which is not. I mean, I'm if I see everybody going over here, I'm like this in all aspects of my life. I'm going to go over here, because I'm like, whatever the 99% are doing, I probably don't want to do that.
Nope,
it's probably not the right thing. So look for another way.
Yeah, I remember when I first pulled my kids out of school. Grant told me, because he was already homeschooling, obviously, and he said, my kids are learning how to be Roberts. And I was like, man, that's such a good way to look at it. Like, I'm teaching my kids how to be a Ralston, not how to be what everybody else is doing in this world.
Yep.
And my kids can sit down at a table and have a conversation with a grown adult.
Right.
My sons will look you in the eyes, like you said. Like, I think, like you said with Dana, like, was creeped out by it. I'm big on that too.
Right.
You look someone in your eyes when you're talking to them.
Especially another.
This stuff
man.
makes me think either one, you're weak,
right,
or you're you're not confident,
right,
whatever. And my boys understand. You look a man or a woman in their eyes when you speak to them.
That's a fact.
Yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. I mean, there's things to be said about people like that.
That's a fact. My dad always told me that you look a man in the eye and you give him a firm handshake.
Boom.
Do not give him a limp noodle.
Oh my
That's what he
gosh,
said.
I can't stand
when I shake a man's hand now and he gives me like that, I lose all respect.
Yeah, I want to
that's
throw
bad
up.
to say.
I want to throw up.
But I mean, it makes me sick, man.
It's so funny. Grant and I talk about this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I have bad thoughts about it, but I want to make sure that my kid knows better than that.
Yeah.
And I think that goes along with as part of leading your family and and just teaching.
Yeah, I agree big time. Let's talk about your YouTube and your side stuff that you do with that. What
it was kind of the YouTube thing. It just kind
I just found out about this, so I'm super intrigued.
Man, it's nothing special. Believe me, if you watch my videos, the first video I think I did, I was outside in the backyard and I had my phone up on top of a lantern fuel can propped up on a rock. That's no joke.
Yeah.
And I'm out there like I just got here just making a video showing somebody how to troubleshoot something. But I mean, the way I got started with that whole online deal was I've always bought and sold four-wheelers. Like I told you, I started that probably 2005 or 6.
Yeah.
But I bought this one four-wheeler and it had a little electronic motor on the front of it, and that operates the four-wheel drive by a push button.
Okay.
And it went out, four-wheel drive wasn't working. So I'm like, I got to get this working, because I mean, it's not going to bring that much money if it's not working. So, I got online, looked for this motor, and it was like $350. And I'm like, I don't want to spend that kind of money. So I pulled it apart, opened it up, looked at it, and there's this little tiny motor in there. And I'm like, man, that looks like a little door motor or something, like for a door lock or whatever. And so I got to looking into the numbers and everything, and found a way to replace that motor. So I ordered some motors off eBay, got it in, put it in, it worked. So I literally spent, I think, $25 or $30 on this little motor, put it in there, it worked. So I saved, I mean, $350 is what I was gonna pay.
Yeah.
But in 5 minutes, I took it apart for $25 and it was fixed. So I got on the Grizzly. I was always on the forums, like Grizzly forums and, the old internet forums.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of going away. There's some still around.
Some still around, yeah.
But I was kind of on that, and I got on there and I was like, hey guys, I want to just help. Like, I had this problem, like, this is where you can get this motor. I give them the link. Like, you can get the motor where I got it. I'm not trying to make anything off you.
Yeah.
And I put it on there, and dude, just overwhelming response. Like, that's a huge problem, I guess, with the four-wheelers that I mess with. and people were emailing me, hey, where'd you get this motor? Hey, can I buy one from you? Hey, can I just buy it from you? Can you just mail me one? How do you do it? So I was like, all right, so I need to rethink this. And so I was like, I'm gonna make a video. I've heard of YouTube. I've never messed with it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna make a video showing how to test this motor and how to fix this motor. So I did that, and then some guy emailed me. He's like, man, you need to be charging for your time. You need to be like selling these motors, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I started putting them on there for like a couple dollars more, you know, because I was putting some time in the videos and
Of course, yeah.
that
Your
kind of
time's
stuff, you know.
valuable.
And that's kind of how I got started with it. And that YouTube channel was kind of based around specifically the Yamaha four-wheel drive system. I mean, you can't get any more niche than that. You know, so I went through and just made all these videos on all the components that operate that system. This is how you test it. This is how you can fix it at home without spending any money. If you're not that lucky, by the way, here's a link to my part. You can buy it. So I started buying the relays and the switches, basically all the components to the system instead of just the motor.
Got it.
I had all of them, and then now I've grew into buying other brands and stuff like that. But that's how I got started. I started just, you know, it was really just scratching my own itch because I had so many people calling me all the time, like, hey, how do you test this thing again? How do you clock this motor?
And you're like, okay,
Dude,
I can't.
And I do not like talking on the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, I was like, this is making it easier for me making the videos. So now, if somebody messages me or emails me or whatever, I just send them a link. Here's my video. Watch this. Boom. No more questions.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got started in it. And like,
What's the name of that YouTube channel?
501 Parts.
501 Parts.
But,
I'll put when I put this up, I'll put a link in the description for it so people can go there and check it out.
Yeah, it's just it's probably no use to you unless you own a Yamaha four-wheeler or side-by-side. But yeah, I mean, I experimented with doing another one to where it was just like handyman stuff around the house.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about that the other day.
And I don't have the skills that you have when it comes to, that's not something I enjoy.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I got that first-person camera thing I'm going to let you see. I
Yeah,
think that'll be valuable.
I need to check that out.
Yeah. I think it'll make it easier for you.
Yeah. I'll definitely look at that, but
yeah.
I'd enjoy doing the stuff and mechanicking and building,
yeah, that technical stuff is for the birds.
I don't like messing with that. It's like when my computer breaks, it's like I'm not a if my truck breaks down, I will get in there and tweak for days on it.
Yeah.
But if my computer quits working, I don't even want to open that thing up.
No.
I'm just going to get on Amazon and buy another one, and I'm going to beat that one with a sledgehammer until I don't think anybody can use it.
Yeah.
It's going in the garbage.
There you go.
Like, that's the way I do
funny.
with
Yeah, that's
electronic
good.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
I don't like.
That's funny.
The less time I can be on the computer or the phone, the better for me. So.
Well, I have what I think is really cool. That I've got to know you better sitting down with you, which I think is awesome. I think you and I have very similar, the way we've kind of navigated. Yeah. Obviously, you're way manlier of a man than me because I can't fix stuff and do that. But
you can Judy chop a man to death.
That's right. Yeah, I do that. We need to get you in there. That's what we need to do. But as we close this out, if there was a piece of advice that you could give a man starting out with his family that you think is something either you've learned or something that you wish you would have known starting out, what would it be?
Oh man, that's tough. I would probably just have to say, and go your own way. I mean, don't let your friends, don't let the world, not even your parents or your relatives, convince you to take the paved road of life, like the easy road. Right?
Yep.
I mean, take the easy road is not going to get you where you want to go.
Nope.
You got to put in the work. The dirt road's nasty and muddy, but when you get down it, you're proud of where you went. So I would say just go your own way, and when you make a decision, you're going to get some opposition.
Yep.
Anything you do good is going to come up with opposition, but just hold strong and just go for it, you know.
Yeah, amen. That's awesome. All right, well, anytime I close this out, I always ask the guests if they would close us out in prayer, and then we'll end it.
Yeah, absolutely,
Good.
man. Yep. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for another day of life that you've given us here on this beautiful day. I thank you for the honor here from Bobby to let me come on his podcast here, and I pray that this platform will be able to reach out to men, young men and old, and they can find some value in this content that he's putting out. And I pray to be a blessing on somebody's life, that they can better themselves or better their family. And I pray you would be with us the rest of this week. Guide us, just lead a path for us to follow. And we honor you in all we do. And we ask you would forgive us for all our many sins and where we failed you. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Man, that was a good time, my brother.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you for that.
Yeah, no problem.